You're listening to the SBA Loan Experts Podcast, your source for information, tips, and education on the SBA loan program from SBA expert Chris Hearn, founder and CEO of Fountainhead, the nation's leading non-bank SBA lender. Here's your host, Chris Hearn. Well, welcome everyone back to the SBA Loan Experts Podcast. We are at episode 100, believe it or not, Chris.
Woo-hoo.
And we're excited today just to kind of recap for you guys and have some fun talking through some stats and what the last 2 years have looked like. We kicked this thing off back in November 5th of 2019, believe it or not. And have had a fun last 2 years. Man, a lot has happened over the last 2 years.
Fun is an interesting way to put it, Matt.
Yeah. I'm using that. I'm using that loosely.
November of 2019, and then like 4 months later, the whole world changed.
Right.
With PPP. Yep.
Exactly. And we managed to see our way through, though, right?
That's right. Yes. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, I suppose. What you got some really interesting stats you want to share with everybody, which I think is kind of fascinating.
Yeah. So when we started the podcast, Chris and I, we sat down and decided it was probably time. There wasn't a podcast in the SBA space, and we thought we could fill that gap pretty effectively with all of Chris's knowledge and his experience in the, in and around SBA for 25 plus years. And so we kind of just started pumping out some episodes here and there. And obviously this is our 100th episode. So we've got 100 episodes under our belt as of this recording, a little over 28,000 downloads. And
which that doesn't sound like a lot until you realize this was the first ever SBA focused podcast. And
right.
It's a very, very small niche of an industry. So
very
I actually
niche.
think for such a niched podcast, I think that's pretty good. It's actually surprising to me.
It is. Yeah. It's a great, it's a great number. I mean, when you think about it, there's a lot of people consistently downloading the podcast. The podcast on average gets about 300 to 500 downloads each episode. So it's been a huge success and honestly is more than we expected when we launched this thing.
Right.
Yep. So it's been exciting to watch it grow and morph, and some of the guests we've had on have been fun, and we're planning on doing a lot more of that in the future, actually.
Yep.
Not too long from now. So I think moving into 2022, we've got some fun, exciting things planned for the podcast. Like I said, more interviews, potentially some live stuff. Speaking of live, Chris, you are actually at the NACFB conference as we speak.
That's right. Yeah, I'm at the National Association of Commercial Loan Brokers annual conference. In fact, I just got off the stage a few minutes ago where I gave a presentation to everybody. There's about 1,000 people here from all over the country, and we've been coming to this for a number of years. So yeah, we're here. There's 3 of us here, and then there's 5 of us the exact same time out in San Diego at NAGL, which is the National Association of Government Guaranteed Lenders. And then, we've got about 27 people back at the office, or back at the offices, I should say, since we're kind of a hybrid work environment these days. So we got people all over.
We do. And that's it's been fun to watch how that spread has played out over the last couple of years as well. Seems like we keep expanding into new cities with new employees and team members. So that's been fun to watch too. And I think we're in every time zone now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe we have team members in every time zone.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, every time zone for mainland United States. Yes.
Yeah. Not around the world. That would be an impressive
We're not
feat.
in Greenwich.
Not there yet.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. We're not on the Atlantic time zone just yet, or there's a few others, but yes, generally speaking, we've got the whole continental U.S. covered. Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
so
you've got some stats on like the number of cities that people have downloaded us from and countries?
I do, yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
Believe it or
Yeah.
not, even though we only spread out across the time zones in the continental U.S., we are currently at 2,596 cities across the world,
Wow.
and 65 countries. So,
Now,
although
the
SBA is
sad thing is,
primarily
yeah, that's right. Not
primarily for
not
U.S. based
primarily.
business owners.
No, exclusively. So that's,
Yeah.
I'm not sure why 64 of those countries were listening to the podcast, but we'll take it. That's fine. Yeah.
Well, I think if we dig into that a little bit, Chris, we do obviously a lot of hospitality,
Sure.
and and this is my personal opinion. I think a lot of these hospitality owners travel quite a bit,
They
um,
do. Yeah.
and I think that's probably, um, I mean that's probably a testament to a lot of these business owners traveling around the world and still tuning in each week. So,
Yeah. And we've, from the very beginning, Matt, we wanted to make this podcast sort of a digestible podcast, or I think you called it one time a commuting podcast. And what we mean by that is we've purposely made these relatively short, 15, 20, 30 minutes long, and that's about it. Sometimes even less. We don't want to do the 2 or 3 hour podcasts like my buddy Tim Ferriss or some of the other, or the Joe Rogans of the world,
marathons,
and
yeah.
others like that. Yeah, yeah. So I think it's been, from that perspective, yeah, you're probably right. While people are traveling, they're probably listening for 15 minutes here and there, that type of thing. So, and obviously, we encourage people to continue doing that, because we do give a lot of content on these podcasts, and we'll continue to.
Right. Yeah, and no surprise. I mean, some of our top episodes included episode 29, which was our SBA paycheck protection loan
Mm-hmm.
announcement, which was the original paycheck protection program before when it first got its name. It was our
Yeah,
most
it probably
downloaded.
only morphed about 120 times since then, but
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. And then not too far behind that was obviously our update to that, which was the next episode 30.
Right.
But yeah, it's been a ride for sure.
Yeah, hopefully we won't have too many more podcasts on PPP for a
Yeah,
number of
we
years. That
hope
would be
we hope
nice.
not to see that again for a
That's
while,
right.
if at all.
Yep.
So yeah,
Well,
lots of, like I
what
said,
else you got stat wise?
uh,
Anything else?
yeah, we've got obviously we've got 100 episodes. Believe it or not, we reached our 10,000 downloads before our 25th episode, which is pretty impressive.
Wow.
I think that's
Yeah.
probably another testament to us giving consistent updates on PPP over the podcast.
Sure.
But yeah, we've got some fun things planned in 2020, including a webinar that's actually coming up next week,
Next
I
week.
believe. Yeah, next
That's
Thursday.
right. Yep.
Which will be fun. If you haven't signed up for that yet, you'll want to do so.
Well,
That is
if you're a loan agent or a commercial loan broker,
correct.
that's
Yeah.
what that webinar is
We-
going to be for. So if you're just a prospective borrower or somebody in the industry, I'm not so sure it's going to be the most helpful for you. But
may
for
not
everybody who's
help
listening,
much, although it might be interesting, may not help much.
yeah,
Yeah.
right, exactly. But for loan agents, yes, they definitely should sign up, because we get a lot of business through the loan agent / commercial loan broker channel, helping their clients out, placing them with good reputable lenders like us.
Yep. And that webinar will actually be discussing moving into 2020.
2022.
Excuse me, 2022. Yes. I'm 2 years behind, man. I lost 2 years of my life to PPP. Trying to
Well,
catch up.
we all did. That's right. You're still recovering from the fog of PPP. Yeah.
Clearly, I don't think anybody wants to relive 2020 again. So I'll make sure I say 2022.
There you go.
But yeah, it should be a great webinar. Chris and a couple others from Fountainhead will be talking about specifically to brokers and loan agents, just regarding moving into 2022 and effectively just being a better broker, from marketing to handling clients to filling your pipeline. It's going to be a great time, and a lot of great information I'm sure will come out of that. And
Yep.
if you happen to miss it and you're listening to this podcast, then we will be sure to post some snippets of that webinar on here. Although you won't get the full webinar unless you sign up, we will be posting some of the snippets and solid information from that webinar over the podcast too. But obviously, you want the full effect of the entire webinar. So
Yep.
make sure if you are an email subscriber on the Fountainhead email list, you should have already received an email. If not, you can head over and register actually online. It's just FountainheadCC.com and then /broker-webinar. So you can sign up over there. But
And if they're a borrower or prospective borrower, Matt, they could go to our website, FountainheadCC.com, and where do they go just to become an email subscriber so that they get notified early about new podcasts or all the other information that we put out?
Yep. If you want to subscribe, you can just head over to FountainheadCC.com and /podcast. And there's a subscription there for the podcast. And then there's also an email subscription in the footer of the website that you can sign up for email updates and notifications on any sort of SBA updates or, new interest rates. We've got all kinds of information coming out that's useful for borrowers as well. And they can sign up over there. So, well, Chris, what do you think? What do you think 2022 holds for episodes 100 through 150? 9 or 163 or wherever we're going to be at. What's 2022
Right.
wins?
Well, I mean, I think we're still living in pretty unprecedented times. I mean, there's been so much money that's been sloshing around out there in the economy due to the relief efforts. A lot of it coming through SBA, whether it's PPP for 800 billion or EIDL, which is probably another, I don't know, 600 billion, and then shuttered venue and restaurant revitalization. I mean, there's a lot going on there. I think all told, it's about 1.5 or 1.6 trillion dollars. So, unfortunately, that's while it saved a lot of people, saved a lot of jobs, saved a lot of businesses. It's also partly helped inflate prices across the board. So, that's kind of the headwinds that we face in 2022. I do think it'll moderate the deeper we go into the year. I think some of this is just a supply and demand issue at the moment, mostly being affected obviously by the delays in the supply chain and all the disruptions that are going there. But I think we're going to get that stuff fixed. I think entrepreneurs are going to look at this as an opportunity, and they're going to figure out ways to get stuff off the shipping containers and into the trucks and the trains and to the consumers. And so I think that's going to be a big theme that we'll all hear in 2022. I also think, this may be the last year or two of near historic low interest rates. So if you're a prospective borrower listening, this is probably a great time to contemplate, refinancing your business debts, maybe buying out a partner you don't get along with anymore, maybe acquiring another business. It's a great strategy even for small to mid-sized companies, not just the largest out there. I think there's going to be a tremendous opportunity in that space over the next 5 to 10 years as, I call it the silver tsunami that's coming at us, which is baby boomers retiring and wanting to sell their business. And there is a tremendous demographic bulge of baby boomers who will be disposing of their businesses. It's a great opportunity for those of us who are not in the baby boomer bracket to take a look at that and see what we can make happen. So I think there's going to be a lot of that, Matt. I think people are probably reassessing commercial real estate a little bit because we're in this new era of a lot of work from home. I don't see that changing a whole lot going forward, and I'm the first to admit I'm one of those got to work from the office type of guys. And then the pandemic hit and it enlightened me a little bit that so long as you've got internally motivated team members, and you're properly engaging with them and they're properly reporting what they're doing, then they should be able to work from anywhere. And it really is it's really going to expand the opportunities to attract talent for businesses all across America. So it's pretty exciting in that regard. But I do think that SBA, having been under such a spotlight these last, year and a half, 2 years, I think it's a huge opportunity for SBA and its participating lenders to really shine now. SBA is on the tip of so many people's tongues. Everybody knows SBA through PPP. My wife will go to a dinner party, and mention that we did PPP, and it's like those old E.F. Hutton commercials that, some of you are probably too young to remember that, where everybody shushes and listens, because everybody knows about Paycheck Protection Program loans, and everybody knows that SBA was behind it. And, it's kind of refreshing that SBA has been able to come out of the shadows a little bit. I just hope they capitalize on it and help as many business owners as they can going forward. So I'm pretty bullish on 2022, Matt. I think the best of SBA lending community is ahead of us, and I'm excited to, like always, to help as many entrepreneurs as I can to scale their businesses and create wealth for themselves and really just continue to grow prosperity. So.
Yeah, I would agree, Chris. I'll use the old can't keep a good man down, right? And I think
Mm-hmm.
the U.S. economy is that good man and typically bounces back, and you've got a lot of bright, smart entrepreneurs that tend to make that happen fairly quickly. So,
Yep.
So yeah, I think 2022 will be a good year of bounce back. So
We all could use that a little bit.
Oh, we definitely could. We definitely could.
Yep.
So let me leave with this. We've obviously mentioned moving into 2022. We'd love to do more interviews and have a couple other things planned that we're excited about. But we want to hear from you as well. So if you have a suggestion in terms of an episode that you'd like to hear, or something you would like Chris to discuss, or maybe get Chris's opinion on something that's happening currently, or you have an interesting guest that you'd like to see on the podcast, or you yourself might be interested in being a guest, just email us at podcast@FountainheadCC.com. That's podcast@FountainheadCC.com, and let us know your suggestion, or we're open to any, obviously, critiques, reviews, whatever.
Yeah, we'd love to get some reviews from folks. I'd love for you to share this with others that would benefit from these episodes. So
Absolutely.
They're bite-sized episodes, so it's pretty easy to do that.
Absolutely. So, well, Chris, here's to 100 more moving forward.
At least.
Yep. Right. At least. And thank you to everyone that's listened and supported the podcast.
All right. Well, thanks, Matt. I appreciate it.
No problem. Enjoy NACLB, and thanks everyone for listening. And here's to many more.
Yep. Take care, everybody.
Today's episode is brought to you by Fountainhead, the nation's leading non-bank SBA lender. Fountainhead's team of SBA experts will guide you through every step of the process and get your loan closed faster and more efficient than any bank. Apply today online at FountainheadCC.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the SBA Loan Experts Podcast.